It's the EBC Brakes MotoFest, and it's coming up next on Cycle World. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Myers. Welcome to San Bernardino, California, and the inaugural running of MotoFest. Now, MotoFest is a rather unique event for several reasons. First, the track is diabolical. Second, the heat out here today is inhuman. And third, this event is being held in the backyard of the Big Four Japanese motorcycle manufacturers. That puts a lot of pressure on the riders. They want to do well in front of those that, well, sign their checks. And finally, and perhaps most important, today's event is an experiment. For the first time in history, the AMA will hold a national championship motocross utilizing a supercross format. In Supercross, there are 2 heat races, 2 semis, and 1 last chance qualifier to establish a 20-rider field to race in 1 main event of 20-lap duration. Now, today we will deviate slightly from the Supercross format. We will establish a 40-rider field for 1 main event of 30 minutes and 2 laps. We will have 2 heats, but no semis, and 1 last chance qualifier to transfer riders to the main event. Now, for more on this experimental format, let's go to the pits where Prime Network motocross analyst Jim Holley is standing by with a most appropriate guest.
Thank you very much, Larry. The man to the left of me needs no introduction. 5-time world motocross champion Roger DeCoster, and co-promoter of the MotoFest, and the man most responsible for the motocross supercross experiment. Roger, question's very simple. Why?
Basically, to keep things simple. With today's format, many people leave the race without knowing who won the overall race. FIM even went to a 3-heat format, and there you need a pocket calculator to figure out who is the overall winner. And I don't think that's very good for the sport when people come and see an event and they don't know who the winner was at the end of the day. And often they think it's the wrong guy because they think it's the winner of the last race. And to avoid that and to have the program building to a culminating point, the exciting building from the beginning towards the end of the program, that's why we're doing it.
What about all the traditionalists out there?
Well, the traditionalists, they should know that when Motocross World Championship was started in 1957, it was a 1-heat format, and they did that for several years. It was an hour long. It was kind of the same format as they do in road racing today, and for several years, the kind of racing that Wayne Rainey, Eddie Lawson, Kenny Roberts is doing, there was no 2 heats. So the excuse about that you need a second chance and all that, that's mainly for the guys that they are unprepared. And there's another factor is that when you're winning as a top rider, you never like to have changes because you always worry that you're not going to win anymore. If they change something, maybe it's going to be bad for you. But the best guys always come out on top.
That's the word from 5-time world motocross champion Roger DeCoster. Let's hear what some of the riders had to say.
They say that having the 1 moto format, the fans are going to know, they're going to know who's leading, how the points works and stuff like that. Well, I don't think that's, I think when the people go out to nationals, they're diehard fans. They're not going to get any new people that go to the Indy 500 and sit there and, set up in the stands and, have it nice and clean and expect that out of a motorcycle race for 1 moto. I don't think that's going to help the sport at all. And I think they should just stick with the 2 moto format. I think that the outdoor is more grueling. It's traditionally the 2 30-minute plus 2-lap motos, and normally the guy in the best physical condition walks away with the overall. And in a 1 moto format, it's going to be back to an important start and penning it for just 1 moto. Even if it's a 40-minute moto, starts are going to mean a lot more than in a 2 moto format where you have more time to make your passes.
AMA changed a lot of rules so far, since when they first started, and, everything could be worked on and everything could be fixed a little bit more, fine-tuned. I don't know, I think they should probably do it just to see how it works out, because I know a lot of spectators, they'll go to a race, even a lot of my friends I talk to, and they'll come back and they won't know who won because, you had to add points here and there, you have to do this and that. And I think everybody will know for sure who won. But for the rider standpoint, I'm not sure. We'll see after Glen Helen.
After several hours of roundtable discussion, the issue was settled the roundtable way. 2 knights went at it. The promoters and those for the 1 moto format hired the knight in green, while the riders and the rest opposed hired the knight in red. And what will the format of AMA National Championship Motocross be? Let's watch the outcome of this battle and find out. Let me give you a hint. It's going to be a swift blow to the midsection. There it is. It's going to be a one-moto format from here on out. We'll be back to see how it works with the EBC Brakes MotoFest right after this. Stay with us. Talking about just about done, we're on the last lap of this 125 main event. Jim Holly, I think it's time to say goodbye to you for a short while. You make your way down to the winner's circle and talk to this young man, Doug Henry. He's going to take the checkered flag, and I'd like to hear what he has to say. It's been a hot day of racing here in San Bernardino, and I'll tell you what, I mean that two ways. We've had hot action on the racetrack, and the spectators have had a hot time due to the temperatures, about 110 degrees, in watching this one-moto format that Doug Henry is just about to claim. He's got a couple of more little whoops and jumps, and he'll roll up. He gestures to the crowd, roll up the face of that finish line jump. He'll collect the checkered flag. There it is. And Doug Henry wins in San Bernardino. He'll take over the points lead. Here comes Dave Arnold, the team manager for Team Honda, over to Doug Henry. And, boy, Henry has got to be whipped. There's Jim Holly, and no microphone. Henry has a problem. He's off the bike and collapsed to the ground. Jim Holly has dropped his microphone. He's helping Henry over to the side of the truck there, or the tent, trying to get him into some shade, it looks like to me. I talked about that heat, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing here, a heat problem. Doug Henry can hardly stand up and now collapses to the ground. Jim Holly trying to loosen up some of his clothing to get some air to him. There's Bevo Forte from Scott USA. He's pouring water over the top of Henry's head to try to cool him down. And now Bevo Forte was handed an ice pack to put around his neck. That comes off with the shoulder protection. More water being dumped over the back and head and shoulders. They're going to try to take that jersey off, obviously. Jim Holly's supposed to be doing, keep pointing this out, an interview, but right now he's doing the job of the first aid personnel. Obviously, they can't see what is going on, or they would be there, no question about that. Now trying to wipe some of the sweat off, trying to get him cool off. Holly is flapping the jersey. And Doug Henry is going to take this opportunity to stretch out, try to get his breath back and get some liquids into him. That's what he needs to do. They need to get some water into him as quickly as they possibly can. While they do that, we'll take a look at how they finished. Doug Henry on top, Ezra Lusk, Damon Huffman, Jeff Emig dropping all the way to the number 4 position. 5th place, the property of Ryan Hughes, then Jeremy McGrath in 6th with a great ride. Eric Kehoe 7th, Larry Ward was 8th. Let's take a look at the championship point standings. Doug Henry back on top, Jeff Emig in 2nd, Jeremy McGrath 3rd, not that far out of it, then Eric Kehoe holding down the number 4 position. Meanwhile, Dr. Holly, our own Dr. Holly, is with a somewhat revived Doug Henry trackside.
We're here with Doug Henry, winner of the first moto. Doug, the heat obviously got to you, but we got to admire your confidence for staying out there. I know you just wanted that white checkered flag to come out, and you kept going and you kept going. I know the heat had to be got to you.
Yeah, it was really bad. It really didn't hit me till about 3 or 4 laps ago, you know. People were cheering for me, you know, it was great. You can hear them now, boy. It was really great out here. There are a lot of fans out here.
Well, I know you train out here a lot and everything, and you're pretty much acclimated to heat. What do you think happened out there?
Well, I don't know. I've been having problems the last few weeks with the heat. I just haven't quite worked it out yet. You know, my day will come where I'll be able to handle the heat. But right now, I'm still working on it.
Well, I bet you're glad about the new format. Only one moto. You don't have to get back on that bike today, and you got 50 points. And I think you're back in the points lead now.
Yeah, I think so. You know, with the one moto format, you don't have to pace yourself. You just go as hard as you can because, you know, as soon as this one's over, that's it for the day.
Well, that's it for the 125cc class. Still a lot of action yet to come as Jeff Stanton signs an autograph or two. We'll be back with the 250s right after this. Stay with us, won't you? That's Jeff Stanton, and he's pulling off the racetrack. We've not seen Stanton at all in this race. He started at the back of the pack, has been working his way through. He's got a problem.
I think he does. You know, we can't speculate what it is. He's had a bad back. That could be bothering. I've never known Jeff to pull off unless something's really wrong.
I'll guarantee there is nothing wrong with Phil Lawrence. He has caught Jeff Matasevich. This is the fight for the number 3 position. Matasevich in 3rd, Lawrence in 4th, and Lawrence is on a mission.
He's riding really well here, you know. Whoa, he's going to make the pass right here. He just cuts right in front of Matasevich. It's a great move on Phil Lawrence's part. He's working up from a bad start. He's pushing.
Yeah, he's pushing Matasevich off the racetrack. Let's go to the head of the pack. This is the battle now for the #1 position. Lamson still controls the pace of the race, but he has company. Mike LaRocco has moved within striking distance. This is going to be a good finish. Lamson, LaRocco, Lawrence, and Dowd. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the final laps of the 250cc main event, AMA National Championship Motocross. We're in San Bernardino, California. Mike LaRocco, #5, has been stalking Steve Lamson, and he made the pass. Lamson and LaRocco have been locked in a drama-filled battle for the past several laps. It's been unbelievable motocross action, and finally it paid off for Mike LaRocco. Let's go back and take another look at that pass. Jim Holly, he set it up and did it beautifully.
I think he likes this corner because in the heat race, this is the exact same place that he passed Jeff Matasevich, exact same way. He just comes underneath Steve Lamson, block passes him a little bit. Steve has no way to cut back underneath. LaRocco's got the momentum. He's been coming up from the back of the pack. He wants this win.
That pass was important for a couple of reasons. Obviously, the win, as you pointed out, but they're in a battle for the #2 position in the championship standings. And as Mike LaRocco takes the checkered flag, he's going to cement that position over Steve Lamson. An outstanding effort on the part of LaRocco. His first ever 250cc national championship win. Got to be a great big smile under that helmet, despite the heat and the water being dumped, washing the sand and the heat away. Here are the official results from the final 250cc championship event of the season. Mike LaRocco wins it, Steve Lamson second. Phil Lawrence with a great ride, finishing third. John Dowd will end up as the top privateer with fourth place. Guy Cooper finished fifth. He says this is his last national championship event ever. We'll see. Donald Upton, then Mike Fisher and Jeremy Buell. Jeff Matasevich, with an apparent problem in the late going of that race, out of sight of our cameras, has dropped out of the top 8. Final standings of the 250cc National Championship season, a pair of Kawasaki's out front in first and second, then Lamson and John Dowd. Jim Holly has made his way down to winner's circle. He's with Mike LaRocco. Jim?
Mike LaRocco, great job out there. It's about a 12-second lead. You got a bad start out there, but you kept pushing all the way. How'd you do it?
Actually, with the heat like this, I just kind of take it easy and, rode through for the win.
How about the heat? It looks like the heat got to everybody, but you look pretty fine out there. Doug Henry collapsed. You look like you can go another moto.
Yeah, maybe a little bit after I replace the fluids.
Great job, Mike. Thanks.
An outstanding effort on the part of Mike LaRocco. For Jim Holly, I'm Larry Myers. Hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cycle World. The next time we see you will be in Millville, Minnesota for 500cc motocross.